episode on the Cookland channel. I'm David, aka Rasmalice. You can find me on Instagram, Rasmalice, just for some still photography stuff that I do with my food that I don't air. And also, you know, I think I'm a funny comedian like everybody else do, and you know, whatever insightful things that I post on Instagram, you can follow me there. It's a weekday, as usual. Gotta feed my family. That's priority number one. Yeah, so forgive the interruptions. Well, you weren't interrupted because it's a video. Anyway, you don't want to cook every day, so I will pull out a takeout menu in a minute. Call somebody up and then bring some food. But you know, I do enjoy cooking, and sometimes you just, you know, like I said, sometimes you're just not in the mood, but you want to get something on the table quick. We're just gonna do a simple thing. I mean, I try to keep it simple. That's one of the things I usually try to do, even though I try to make it look complex maybe, and try to make it look fancy. But at the end of the day, we try to keep it simple. You know, on a weeknight, we're pressed for time. We want to get everybody plated and ate and satisfied, and I'm unscripted. You know, you want to get everybody fed and back to doing whatever they want to do as quickly as possible. So I'm gonna try to do something, show y'all something a little bit simple tonight. This is just a simple weeknight, easy thing to do. Bingo bango. We're gonna throw a few things in a couple pots and pans, and hopefully it comes out really nicely. But you know, just gonna try to do something very modest and simple. So we got a few simple ingredients. So we got some chicken breasts. That's about 4 of them, and these are pretty heavy. It's full chicken breast, boneless, skinless. A pound of spinach, some red potatoes, chicken broth, and this is some all-purpose seasoning. I'll tell you about the seasoning in a little while. And that's gonna be dinner. Yeah, so we got our potatoes here. They're washed. You know, they're red potatoes, so you don't have to take the skin off of these. The skin is pretty thin and mellow on these. It's not rough like an Idaho or maybe even a Yukon potato. So these are really good with the skin, and you know, the skin, as they say, has nutrients, more nutrients than getting rid of it. So, and it's also a time saver than to have to peel all the potatoes. But what I am gonna do is cut them in quarters. And what that is gonna do is allow these to boil quicker. Like I said, we're trying to save a little bit of time here. So these large potatoes broken down into quarters is gonna save us some time. So I'm gonna continue cutting these potatoes, and then I'm gonna move on to the next step. All right, all done cutting potatoes. These are all in quarters. I'm gonna move this on to a boiling pot of water. Okay, my water's boiling. I put this on as soon as I came in. Just filled it up and got it filled up because it's gonna take time for that water to come up to a boil. So you're just gonna add your potatoes straight away. Do not salt the water before you put these potatoes to boil, because you wanna control the salt. I like to season it afterwards. The potatoes are in. I'm just gonna cover this up, and probably in about 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, you poke it with a knife, poke it with a fork, and see if it's soft and tender enough. Then you know that they're ready. You can move on to the next step with the potatoes. So now we're gonna work on this chicken. So I showed you before, we have 4 whole chicken breasts, boneless, skinless. So what I did first was, you know, I washed it. Wash your chicken. Wash your chicken. Repeat after me. Wash your chicken. And what I'm gonna do is just trim it up a little bit so that we're in the time crunch. We wanna make things easier. We wanna make things faster. So usually, I'm gonna show you a little tip. So you have your chicken breast, and you got a nice surface here. So when you put this down in your pan, this surface gets all brown and nice and golden, and then you present your chicken like this, and it looks beautiful to everybody. But then this side is the side that takes you long to cook, because this is everything that's cut off of the bone. So it's jagged, it's bumpy, it's uneven. So what I like to do when I'm trimming up the chicken, you're gonna trim it up, get all these little parts off. I got a dog, so all these little parts are good for dog food. But what you're gonna do is take your knife and you wanna flatten the bottom part of the chicken breast out. So come across, careful with your fingers, you're gonna come across like this. And what you're gonna do is try to flatten this out. You see how I got a nice flatter surface? Now, I have a flatter surface to cook, it's more even. Everything is gonna hit the pan evenly on this side, same thing as this side. So that's just a little tip on how to save time. And while you're cleaning up your chicken, all these little fat parts here, get them off. If your knife is not gliding through your chicken, this is not a special knife, crazy expensive. This is not $1,000 Worcesteroff or nothing like that. This is a $30 Victorinox knife. You can get it on Amazon, like I did, and just keep it clean, keep it sharp. If you're not like this, if you can't just slice something really easily like this, your knife is dull. So you're gonna want to get it sharpened or get a new knife. So that's it. I'm cleaning up this chicken. I'm gonna continue cleaning it up. I have one more piece, and then we're gonna go to the next step. My chicken breasts are all cleaned up and ready for seasoning. So I got here an all-purpose seasoning. Every time I make a seasoning blend and I have some leftover, I don't throw it away. I got a jar or a container and I put all the leftover seasoning in that jar or container. So this is about maybe a month worth of stuff. There's onion, there's pepper, there's salt, there's garlic, there's cumin, there's adobo, all kind of good stuff is in here. So when you're looking for something just seasoning, this is a good all-purpose seasoning. You buy them, adobo is an all-purpose seasoning. You can buy an all-purpose seasoning that says all-purpose seasoning at the supermarket, which is just a blend of different herbs and spices. And you can make your own. So this is my all-purpose seasoning. And I'm just gonna come in and lightly season my chicken breast. Get my coverage. Pat that down. Give it a flip. And here goes my nice flat side. A nice little coating. All right. Just two more. This is my flat side, ready to receive all the seasoning with no hills and gullies and bumps. That's nice. Oops, 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 oops. That's why you should do this really do it by hand, but I don't have a clean hand right now. There we go. It's nice. Try to get the side when it's a thickie. Like this, try to get the side too. You want to get it all covered. So, actually, I'm going to put everything on this side because I'm going to be using my cast iron skillet to cook this chicken. I got my cast iron pan heating up, so I'm just going to hit this with a little oil, not too much, enough to coat. And this is a little bit of canola oil and olive oil, a blend. Olive oil is not good for, pure olive oil is not really good for high heat cooking because the smoking temperature is low. Canola oil has a higher smoking temperature, so the blend is a little bit healthier and it's good for frying, stir frying, and sauteing. So, I hit the pan, one. These are fairly large, so I'm gonna have to do this in batches, or I'm gonna have to go grab another cast iron skillet. And looking at the size of these, looks like I'm gonna have to grab another skillet. Skillet number 2 is hot and ready. I'm gonna let these go for a few minutes until they get nice and brown on one side. I'll flip them and then we'll go on to the next step. So our chicken is mellowing out right here. Got them flipped over on that side that I shaved down so nicely. So I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna throw 2 pats of butter. I got everybody in one pan. The negotiations were not all 100% gentle, but we come to an agreement that everybody's gonna fit into this pan. Come to an agreement. So I got a couple pats of butter. Okay, we added some chicken stock. Listen, this part is mad noisy, so you ain't really want to hear all of this scraping. We're just deglazing this skillet, which is added the chicken stock to the skillet that we browned the chicken breast in. So some of that seasoning and some of the meat gets stuck to the pan a little bit. So you're using the chicken stock as an agent to just scrape that off. And all of that has a lot of flavor to it. So you use those little brown bits as an additive to that chicken stock, and it's gonna fortify the pan gravy that we're making. So we're just gonna keep on scraping this. You really did not want to hear all of this scraping. It was annoying me, so I had to edit it out before I posted this video. So scrape, 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 and we're ready to pour it. Watch this now. Unstuck or deglaze from the pan. And you just scrape it with a spoon, a spatula, whatever you got. You can just scrape it off gently. Alright? And then we're just gonna take this. It's hot. Toss it in here with this. And that's gonna create a little bit of a pan gravy sauce. I won't have to look at this for a while. So I'm gonna just toss this in the oven at 475. It's gonna continue cooking this. The liquid is gonna reduce down a little bit. It's gonna create a gravy. And then it's gonna allow us time now to move on to the next thing. We're just gonna take our eyes off of this and we'll just go on to the next. Well, our potatoes are boiling. Our chicken is in the oven, coming up to temperature. It's brown and it's coming up to temperature, creating a little bit of gravy. And now at the last part of our weeknight special meal, our weeknight hurry up and get dinner on the table meal is gonna be spinach. We got our pound of spinach. I'm just gonna open this up. And it looks like a lot, but if you've ever cooked with spinach before, you know one thing. It's gonna wilt down to practically nothing. So this pound of spinach is gonna work out to be about a cup of spinach in the long run. So there's a little bit more of my oil. I'm gonna put some freshly chopped garlic. And get that down at the bottom. And then I'm gonna start adding my spinach. Move it around. And as soon as it starts wilting, add a little bit more. It looks like it can't fit, but trust me, it's all gonna get in there. And we're gonna do this in little stages. So a little bit more spinach, a little bit more garlic, a little bit more oil. Oh, I forgot the seasoning. So we're gonna go with the all-purpose seasoning that we use to season the chicken. Just repeat the flavor. A couple dashes of that. A little bit more spinach. A little bit more garlic. A little bit more oil. So I can just go in and turn these over. And you start to see them develop that dark green color as they start to wilt. And that heat, when I take the ones from the bottom and move them to the top, the heat is going to transfer to the fresh ones. And they in turn are going to wilt as well. So I'm just going to repeat this process until all of this spinach is wilted down, but not too much because you still want it to maintain its integrity as spinach. You kind of want to see the leaves and be able to pick them. You want a little bit of crunch on them still. A little bit of bite and chew. See how fast that goes? I'm going to continue this process. So you can see the spinach is now nice and wilted. Turn the heat off, and all of that spinach you saw, you know, it reduces down to a very much smaller level. The carryover heat from the ones that are fully wilted are going to get these guys that are still kind of whole. And you want it to be recognizable as spinach when you put it on a plate. You don't want it to be one big green mush. So that's why you're going to cook it quick, and then you turn it off. Do not cover it or it's going to turn into mush, and just leave it at a warm part of the stove so it doesn't get too cold. And that's pretty much it. The spinach part is done. I was just about to take the spinach off, and I had an idea. I'm going to add to the spinach. I have a little bit of arugula here, baby arugula, and I'm just going to add that to the spinach so it gives it a little depth of flavor. The peppery bite of arugula with the green herbaceousness of the spinach is going to go really nice. Just a little addition to the plain boring spinach. So here's my arugula. I'm just going to add a nice handful. And this one, it acts just like spinach. It'll wilt down in there. I'm going to hit it with a little bit of the seasoning. Just a tip. If it wants to get out. A little tip of the oil. Just to let it join the party. And then we're just going to fold it in and mix it so that it's distributed throughout the entire dish. And we can leave those and let that carryover heat take that and leave them a little bit crunchier, a little bit more raw than the spinach, and it's going to stand out excellently against this spinach. Okay, so we're almost done. We're in the home stretch. My potatoes are done. So I drained the potatoes. There they are. While they're steamy hot, we're going to get the potatoes ready for mashing. I got a little milk that's warm. Some butter. It's about tablespoon and a half of butter. Just drop it right in. The garlic, that leftover garlic that we had from the spinach. Just a little bit. Garlic, mashed potatoes. You don't have to get crazy with it. The heat is going to cook the garlic. The heat on the potatoes is going to cook the garlic and take some of the bite off of it. And the warm milk, so that we're not adding cold ingredients to hot. And that's just going to be harmonious, a little bit more harmonious than adding some cold milk and shocking the potatoes. Got my trusty potato masher. And I'm just going to go in and start smashing some potato. See the butter, once you see it in there, try to get it and distribute it a little bit. You can melt the butter ahead of time and add it. And if you see your potatoes start to look a little dry, you add a little bit more of the milk. Just a little at a time. You don't want to get it too wet. That's gross. And then we're going to season this. I said I didn't want to season it before because I want to control the salt The butter's gonna have a little bit of salt. So, a nice pinch of salt. Do half. Work that around. Then do another half. You don't need any more than that. If somebody wants some more on their plate, that's what the salt shaker is for. Those will be seasoned up nice and well. Let me jump in there and get a little taste of those potatoes. Smells good with the garlic. I'm not trying to burn my mouth, not for nobody. This might take 5 minutes. I'm gonna add a little pinch more salt, but overall, I call it a successful mashed potato. Just a little pinch more. There was a lot of potatoes. Won't have to taste it again, that'll do it. Get those worked in. I call those potatoes done. I'm gonna put the lid on this. Ow, that was hot. Oh, it was so hot. My hand is dead. Here we go. I think we are definitely in the home run stretch right now. Taking this, we're gonna take the chicken out the oven. Let's see how that looks. Hold on. Okay, that looks freaking awesome. Straight out the oven, bubbling hot. And I got a little bit of the drippings or the gravy that it made a little earlier. I took it out. And then I let that reduce down a little bit. I added a little bit of butter and just a little bit more of the chicken stock to it. I reduced that down and made us a nice little gravy. So you put that on the side or spill it over top. We got a lot of juices on the bottom right here. So that's about it. Everything is done. We're getting ready to plate up everything. So to do a little recap, we've got everything done. We've got chicken. We've got mashed potatoes. We got that spinach with the baby arugula. And we've also got some gravy out of that deal. And we even got from our scrap chicken, we got a little bit of scrap chicken right there, and that's good for dog food. It's not only good for dog food. If you have that little side chicken, those little cuts, you can steam it. You can put it in a pan and saute it for a bit. You can use it for like chicken salad. You can ground it, use it for some kind of chicken patties, anything. You can just use it, whatever you would use the chicken for, you can use that. I mean, my dog loves it. I just boil it and I add it to his regular dog food, or I make a special blend of dog food for him with some vegetables and maybe some rice and cornmeal and stuff, but this is really not about that. But I mean, that's it. Weeknight meal prep 101. Chicken, mashed potatoes, and some spinach with arugula. Hope you enjoyed.